How much longer will you be here?
Until they finish typing.
Couldn't we come back for the transcript this evening?
I'd rather wait. I'd like to read it over in the first fine glow of victory and write the choicest moments to be included in my memoirs.
You're too young to be thinking about memoirs.
Never too young to look ahead to the day when you'll be looking back. Did you ever notice the autobiographies that famous trial lawyers write in their dotage? They're always about the times that they cheated the gallows. Why? Never anything else. Are they boasting of this skill? Or trying to justify what they did with it?
Stephen, you're not having second thoughts.
About what?
You're keeping me at arm's length.
Yes, I am.
Stephen, for whatever it's worth, your birth, your parents, your grandparents, none of that means a thing to me. I married a man, not a family. I made that mistake before.
Rodney.
It's always a mistake when you marry a coat of arms. Stephen, talk to me. Turn to me.
Oh, Betty, I'm trying. Really, I'm trying. So many years of living in that house, of calling Mrs. Hannacourt mother. The only thing that's allowed me to survive is you. You know that, don't you? Look, why don't you go to the Carson? She's expecting you.
Carson, really? Your sense of timing.
Elliot swears he does it on purpose.
Why?
Well, my husband claims it's for the same reason that I bake a chocolate cake from scratch, instead of using a mix.
You've lost me.
A sense of accomplishment.
Oh, I'm gonna miss you something awful.
You sound as if you're saying goodbye.
Oh, not goodbye. I'll be over to see the baby every chance I get.
But not every day, huh?
Well, I wish I could, but now that the hearing's over.
You've been very generous with your time, Betty. And Elliot and Matthew and I are all very grateful.
I'm the one who should be grateful having you and the baby to escape to.
Stephen will get over this, Betty.
I used to think only bad marriages were lonely. When you stop loving and trusting each other, you build up a wall against each other, just like my mother and father did.
I think every marriage has its wall, Betty.
When I married Stephen, for better or for worse, I meant it. I don't want to share just the joys, not the sorrows.
But you can't share a person's sorrows. It's impossible. You should know that. You worked at the hospital. You can comfort, even try to heal, but it's still their sufferings, not yours.
Stephen won't let himself be comforted.
The wound is still fresh. I remember when Elliot came back from prison. There wasn't anything I could say or do that would make him feel less bitter.
Stephen isn't Elliot.
They're both very proud men, and they've both been hurt deeply. This doesn't have to keep Stephen any more than it kept Elliot from making a new life for himself.
I hope you're right.
As my father-in-law would say, you sound as if you're expecting blowy weather. Party this is gonna be.
Well, you won't be here for it. You're gonna grab some stuff and throw it in a suitcase and get out of here while you still can. Sandy, this is your only chance, and I'm gonna make sure you take it.
My only chance for what?
Look, what are you leaving behind?
I don't know.
Well, what are you leaving behind? Your flaming romance with Rodney Harrington?
Don't say that.
Well, you better get used to it, because if you stay, that's going to be your loving husband's favorite topic of conversation.
So?
So when he runs out of words and starts using his fists, Sandy, I can't protect you from him.
I don't expect you to.
No, you expect Rodney to ride up in his car and carry you away from all this, solve all your problems. Well, quit kidding yourself. It's not gonna happen. There are too many other girls just as friendly that are a lot safer to be around.
Shut up.
Go pack.
Well, how far am I gonna get on $4 and some change?
Look, I've got money in there. I'll give you the money.
what about you? You haven't said a word about coming with me.
I'll be along.
When?
As soon as I can.
Chris,
Look, don't worry about that. I'll be there.
I'm not gonna leave you alone with your brother.
Look, Sandy, if I run from Lee, I'll be admitting that I lied on that witness stand.
So you're gonna try and bluff it out?
No, I'm not gonna bluff it out. I'm just not letting him get away with Ann's murder, and that is a fact.
He already has.
No, he hasn't. This was a hearing, Sandy. He can still be rearrested and brought to trial.
So you're gonna stay here and try to bug him into a confession?
Oh, he'll never confess. He has no conscience. That's why I have to stay here, where people can look at me. For every time somebody helps me across the street or yanks me out of the path of a car, he'll be reminded that this guy was deliberately blinded by his own brother, who's walking the streets free.
Chris, that's ancient history.
If he pushed me off that bluff, he could have pushed Ann off. That's what they'll think, because most of the people in this town know that Lee is guilty, that he just got off on a legal technicality. But people talk a lot and then they forget. That's why I've got to be here, Sandy, because I'm not going to let them forget. I want them howling for his blood.
And then what are you gonna do, organize a lynch mob?
I won't have to do that, because when the howl for justice gets loud enough, they'll listen and they'll do something about Lee.
He'll break your neck.
No, he won't. He knows they'll be watching him. You watch, he'll be real cool, at least for a while. And by that time, it'll be too late. Now, I want you to get out of here. When this thing is over, I'll join you in Boston, and maybe for a change, we can do something with our lives without worrying about him showing up to wreck it. Now go pack.
Promise you'll join me?
Well, speak up, speak up.
Like I always said, little brother, they didn't make the job that could keep me or the jail that could hold me. Or the woman that could walk herself out of my life.
Preview from the continuing story of Peyton Place.
What kind of a man am I to let him get away with that?
You're the kind of man that Ann Howard loved.
That's a biological fact. When are you going to accept it? It's what you're trying to make out of it that I won't accept. Now, let's not turn this into a lasting relationship that demands respect and affection. It's not there. It won't work.
How long are you going to make me pay for it?
Let's set the account straight, Lee. You haven't begun to pay, not yet.